Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar, Tyco Johnson Controls, Exceptional Solutions for Extraordinary Times. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. You may have joined the presentation listening using your computer speaker system by default. If you would prefer to join over the telephone, just select phone call in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenters by typing your questions into the questions pane of your control panel. You may send in your questions at any time during the webinar. We will be addressing them in written during today's presentation. It is my pleasure to introduce you to today's speaker, Stuart Battle, Video Product Marketing Manager, EMEA, and Ralph Shrivers, Senior Product Manager, Access Control, who will be answering the questions you submit during today's presentation. I will now hand over to Stuart to start the presentation.
Thank you, Alex. Well, let me say thank you in advance to everybody. I appreciate the 1 hour that you're giving over to me and my colleagues today to attend this presentation. Therefore, I really want to make it as valuable to you as possible because, in reality, within our lives, our working days, it is rare that we get an hour to do anything separate to our normal jobs. And therefore, I want to use this time in reality to basically set the scene for you. Let's talk about the key word here on the slide is solutions, and let's in effect drill down onto that as a within our product genres within the security and related industry. Now, before we do that, I was discussing with one of my colleagues, George in this case, before I was putting this presentation together about some of the content. And some of the things he said actually got me thinking. And that ultimately made me think about, is this, this solution, these automated intelligences and all these types of things, AI, is it a journey? Well, yes, it is, as it says on my slide. But also it's about understanding the possibilities, the capabilities, and what solutions they provide. So the word that will keep coming through the presentation today is the word solutions. And ultimately, my goal for this presentation in this hour is to make yourselves think, make my participants think, because as I say, it's rare that we take an hour away from our normal jobs and everything. And therefore, I think my best outcome is actually start to help you to think about the technology that's available now and in the future, and how that can be applied within your specific, shall we say, roles and responsibilities, maybe as consultants, end users, security directors, whatever it is. And to help me start to do that, let's look at this slide first, because technology, it gains in acceleration. It's not many years ago when we looked at video and we had things like motion detection, and that was revolutionary at the time. Something moved in the scene, we created an alarm or we could search on it. From an access control perspective, it could be that actually, a very long time ago, we just used to use lock and keys to prevent people from getting from one side of a barrier or a door to another to protect our information or whatever it is. Then as technology advanced, we got more intelligent, let's say. We use things in access control like access control systems. So in other words, using swipe cards and the hand readers as such as face recognition readers as well. But shall we say, using basic algorithms, video intelligence, but basic algorithms. So there, shall we say, the key points is that, yes, we started to provide solutions like access control, like video intelligence, so I could detect a person, let's say, or an object removed. But there was always an element of accuracy. That's the key point these days. It is about accuracy and bringing that level of intelligence to create more accuracy. So if we now look towards the right-hand side, and then I'll show you a short video to start putting things in perspective. We're commonly talking about intelligence, automated intelligence, machine learning, artificial intelligence. And that really is the subset of my presentation today, is to talk about those things in the now, in the present, how they can, shall we say, provide a solution in these extraordinary times. But also let's look beyond that as well. And I will come back to that in a moment. But before we start to drill down there, let me show you a short video. And ultimately, that will start to put things into perspective of the now. So in other words, the capability of, shall we say, pandemic related, or these exceptional times, of what from us, JCI Tyco as a manufacturer, are currently providing our customers. So the video will start in a moment. Okay, a short video there I probably would say that it gives you the opportunity to relate to, some of the things you might have experienced yourselves in the past year, the way that you are looking to protect, staff, visitors, buildings, etc. But let's have a look. Let's have a brief summary of what we have seen there, because in reality, this is the technology, behind these algorithms and AI and everything else you've seen, the machine learning is relatively new technology, but it has multiple applications. And I think that's the key point, is the applications and how these technologies are used. So the one that everybody sees everywhere, mask detection, or people not wearing masks. We saw a couple of incidents related to that, where security guards were alerted to the fact that somebody was not wearing a mask. Again, it's deployed in multiple different areas of a building or even public areas outside. But the fact is that all of this technology here is related. So even things like the elevated skin temperature detection, so the cameras that detect a face, they can measure the temperature on the face and then say, if that person is over or even under the normal temperature limits. Now, as we know, that doesn't say that somebody is ill. All it says is that they are over temperature, but that ultimately means that, as a building operator or as people are coming in to my factory for their shift work, whatever it is, that I can start to do the first level of screening, which then ultimately allows me to do a secondary level, which is, shall we say, more medical related, because at the end of the day, using a camera to detect skin temperature isn't medical related at all. It's just there for temperature, but it provides that, shall we say, first line of defense, as does the other things you can see on the screen there, like the proximity reports. So, in many countries, they have deployed apps and things where you can be told if, you get a message if you've been in the proximity of somebody who happens to, unfortunately, have the COVID currently. And no different, shall we say, utilizing, you saw Software House there, one of our access control systems, utilizing some of the functionality and intelligence within the access control, because if you know somebody who's become sick, you can actually use a variety of AI, so automated intelligence, or reporting, machine learning reporting, to find out who has been close to that person. So that can be in the form of report, it can be in the form of doing video analysis. I can search for people. So there are a number of things at my disposal that, again, can help me in this current climate to reduce the risk within my organization of cross-infection and things like that. Even there you saw a couple of examples of occupancy. So I can run occupancy analytics to see when, if my rooms or areas have become overpopulated. And that could be, as an example, using cameras to monitor an area that doesn't particularly have doors or barriers to it. So that could be like a large hallway, or where there are multiple, a vestibule example, where there are multiple entrances and exits, and access control couldn't actually control the occupancy levels, but I can run that via some technology, via the camera, to report how many people are in an area, multiple entry exits. Do the same with access control, where people are reading in and out of the entrances. But also we saw things like using face recognition in order to basically let people have access to a room or areas. You saw the gentleman approaching what was our Insight reader and just basically walking through the door. So it becomes frictionless access control. And frictionless, ultimately, as you know, means I don't have to touch anything. And again, in the current climate, that makes complete sense. So all of the things we saw in the video, ultimately, the video is for the now. It is for solutions that are available from ourselves in conjunction, not just from a video perspective, but in conjunction with the access control or other product genres, to provide a solution to keep people, as much as possible, safe, and to keep people informed. By people, I mean health and safety management or somebody like that, potentially in a building. But this ultimately is the now, and the now at some point will become the past. And once we get to that stage, hopefully very quickly, then we have to look at the future, or what will be then the new now. So let me just advance the slide, and let's go from where we are to post-pandemic, post-future. And I give you the same list because the things that we are utilizing now, the technology that we are utilizing now, the technology that companies are investing in to provide a solution to keep buildings open, businesses open, staff safe, visitors safe, all of these things has a future after these unfortunate testing times. So reality is what I'm just going to start talking about in my slides is how we can utilize the same technology, but going forward, what solutions that provides, how that helps buildings, companies, and everybody else, facilities managers, security managers, whomever it is, it doesn't matter, health and safety, to say, how do we leverage existing and some of the technology that you've already deployed, or how do we leverage this now with our new systems, with our new buildings, with our new shops, offices, or whatever it is. And that ultimately, to myself, is about let's looking at this AI. Now, AI, okay, it can mean automated intelligence, it can mean artificial intelligence. At the end of the day, some will call it machine learning. The fact is, it's about intelligence. I prefer, if I advance the slide, to call it automated intelligence, because for me, AI, machine learning, any form of intelligence in the system, let's say we're deployed in our fire systems, our intrusion, our access, our CCTV, building management, whatever it is about this, what you see on screen, creating an automated process to perform tasks, to present information to people. This is what the key is here. It's about giving information that's for the better use of the management, the staff, whomever it is. So I can look after the security of my most valuable assets, my staff, my visitors, all of these things. And ultimately, the two key words on this slide here are situational awareness, because if I can provide automated tasks which are done quickly, accurately, and it's about presenting information, then I basically can start to, in effect, give my operators, my facilities managers, whomever they are, better situational awareness. And if you look at those two words, that is what ultimately, for our security systems or everything or anything else, BMS, fire, intrusion, access, CCTV, doesn't matter. That's actually what we are driving towards. That's what people want. Now, very originally, if we go back a number of years, we would have isolated systems. We would have just a fire system, just an intrusion, just a CCTV, access control, BMS, whatever. But going forward, that doesn't have to be the case. We've experienced this with a long time ago now when, many of us would have carried a telephone with us. Let's use a Nokia 6710 or whatever it was, best phone ever. And we would carry a camera. And in my case, very early on, I also had a BlackBerry for my emails, my messages. We carried multiple devices. But as the smartphone got bigger, better, and faster, it's incongruous now to carry multiple devices. We carry one. We carry a phone of our choice, perhaps a tablet, and everything comes through to us there. And from us as a manufacturer, that is how we are moving forward to provide solutions, the key word there being solution, to our customers, our end users, but also this situational awareness. Now, how I look at this is, we have become very, very skilled in this globe now to generate data. Just think of how many emails you get per day, that some that you never look at, some that are completely useless and probably go straight to the spam folder. But it's all data. It's all information that is being thrown at you for you basically to digest one way or another. Now, with our industry, we're no different. Since we moved from analog to IP, the amount of data that we have generated it's exponential. It's just vast. It cannot even be thought about. So to me, what this situational awareness is about, and the rest of our presentation, is about dealing with the data using automated intelligence, using artificial, whatever you wish to call it, machine learning, to deal with the data, because we generate lots of it and most of it is not needed. So for me there, the key point is that, any system that you're working with, that you're developing, that you need to, grow, needs to have an operational requirement. And that to me is about, any given time or any event, so that means live or, after the fact, who needs to know what to do their job, to ensure situational awareness. What does a facilities manager need to know? What does a security director need to know? What does the health and safety manager need to know? What does a security operator need to know? Because it's all different information. They don't need to know the same things. So why would we send them all the same information? And that's the key point. That's the key question, because that drives the solution and the situational awareness. So let's drill down to discuss more of what I mean here. So why should I embrace technology and situational awareness? Well, actually, that's probably the most simple question today I will ask myself, because it's about security. Now, not just about security, but security is, shall we say, one of the key driving factors. So in other words, if I present the right information at the right time to the right person, then I can deal with any security threats more quickly, more efficiently. It allows, if I am not having to look at data that is not relevant to me, it allows me as a security operator or whomever to perform other tasks and concentrate on those and be more efficient until I'm given an exception, an event, and then I can focus on that. And so the key point here is that by defining my operational requirement and defining my situational awareness requirements, I can use technology, the AI, the automated or artificial machine learning, the intelligence, to provide exactly what I need for the right person. So that keeps me incredibly efficient. That means I react to situations more quickly, and that could be a health and safety breach, because that could be somebody in an area not wearing a mask, as an example, where they need to. But also, by having this technology, I'm future-proofing myself. I'm building and adding to our existing systems, or I'm building from the ground up. But then this technology is there, for the long term. It's there to work alongside my staff to provide better information for them. And the only way I can look at that is to say, it's like, wouldn't it be lovely if somebody filtered all your emails and just gave you the ones you needed to work on? But that is exactly what we're doing here, but from an integrated solutions perspective in our security world, as it were. So let's look, at the now and the future, and the technology that people have already invested in. Now, one of the things in the video you saw was the skin temperature, the capability for us to basically recognize that a face or faces are approaching an area, a camera in this case, and to measure in multiple points the temperature on that person. And then if they are outside of the norm, we're able to create an event. Now that event could be that, for instance, the barrier, the door doesn't open, and that a member of staff is alerted, and that member of staff can then take that person to one side and do a secondary level of testing of temperature with medical thermometers just to make sure. That people invested good money in that technology, but the underlying technology there is recognizing faces. So moving forward, it's technology that I can continue to use. I can repurpose this technology, both hardware and software, to perform duties outside of the reason I originally bought them. So this is why I said at the very beginning of the presentation, I really, my goal is to ask questions, but to create you to think in reality, because sometimes we, as I say, we are so immersed in our roles and our functions and our jobs that sometimes we don't look outside of the box, as it were. But the camera there, you're looking at our Illustra EST camera, as we call it. It's repurposable because it's an infrared camera, so I can use this on places like fence lines as a perimeter protection. I can use it for intruder verification because I could, in conjunction with analytics and things, infrared cameras are absolutely perfect at detecting people for alarm verification, possibly intrusion, detecting people on a fence line, things of this nature. But looking at the camera there, you can see there, in fact, there are two lenses. So with this one in particular, I can use it also not only to detect if a person is on my roof, as an example, because many, shall we say, thieves who wish to break into large stores or buildings come in from the roof, because usually that's the least protected area. So I can use these cameras to detect body heat, but also then as a standard surveillance camera, because also I have the color capability of the camera as well. So I can use the, shall we say, the infrared to do the detection, and then use the color to actually see what's going on, make a real color image that's easier to understand. So what I'm saying here is, for those people who are still looking at cameras of this nature or still have them, think how you can use them afterwards, because they don't need to be put in a drawer. They can actually be repurposed to a good use. That way you get your value. So this actually leads us to faces. Now, faces, we mentioned mask detection. I've mentioned detecting a face to measure the temperature there. But we're adding this automated intelligence now to see how we can utilize, again, in the future, the same technology to provide us day-to-day applications of things like mask detection. So yeah, I mean, currently everybody, certainly where I live, you have to wear masks in shops, on transport, things of this nature, but that will change. But there are still places in buildings that I need to wear masks, such as clean rooms, hospital environments, laboratories. There will be many that I've not even thought about, but this again is why I say today is about to make you think, where you can think in your own organizations where masks are required through normal times. And I can use this technology, this mask detection technology, on existing cameras, not new cameras. I can utilize standard surveillance cameras for this type of technology to highlight when people are not wearing masks. That could be for immediate health and safety alerts. Somebody's forgotten, which is that's a valid reason, but that could be very important to my business. It could be drastic if somebody goes to an area where they're not wearing a mask. I can also use it with utilizing management data and things and reporting to find, when people are not wearing masks, are there trends? Do I need to do some training and compliance training? So I can use this technology not just for, shall we say, these troubled times, but I can utilize the same technology, the same intelligence on my system to run after these troubled times, but still to help manage my building, to help manage health and safety and other applications. Also, it's not just about health and safety. It's not just about security. The capability to recognize, insofar as what a face is, detect a face, also has other implications as well. Because privacy, depending upon what region you're in, there are things like GDPR regulations, there are local privacy laws, and I can use technology, the AI, to help me with that, because good practice, and not to, shall we say, go against privacy laws, is that if I am, let's say, taking a clip of a video that I am passing to the police or to somebody to investigate, then the people who are not of interest in that video clip, their faces should be masked. Now, we've been able to do that for a number of years. That's simple, because up until recently, I would do that manually. I would, go into my VMS and I would manually redact each clip, each frame of the people I'm not interested in. But that's time consuming, and that really is not a good use of people's time. So, using AI, automated intelligence, as I would prefer, utilizing the capability to recognize what a face is, I can now do this automatically. I can take my clip into my Victor VMS in this case, and I can tell the system which face or faces I'm interested in, and then which I wish to take away, to redact, because I'm going to export the clip and I'm going to give that to somebody who should not see the other faces. That helps me comply with my laws. By doing it automatically, I'm automating the process, which frees up valuable time for other people and lets them spend their time where they're most productive. People who are manually redacting images are not productive. So it's about also good use of my resources. So again, this is just examples of the technology you saw in the video, but utilized in normal time applications. So we've talked about face detection, but what about recognition? And here's an example. You can see there 3 people, Amadeus. You can see Pete Lawrence, who is actually our head camera firmware developer. And you can see somebody who's not authorized. So what am I actually looking at here? I'm looking at the same technology that we use to let people walk to an access control reader, as you saw in the video, for frictionless access, to recognize them, put a name to them, and then do whatever my situational awareness requirement is related to that event. So, for example, I can use face detection, not just on a single person, but as you can see there, multiple people simultaneously, to good benefit for me. So this could be, like, say, people on a good list or people on a bad list. So it could be that I want to highlight when VIPs come into my building. That way I can greet them specifically and greet them by name to make them feel more important. It could be when the CEO comes into the building. I need to know this. All of these types of applications. So it's not just about knowing if a thief who keeps coming, a shoplifter keeps coming onto my premises, but knowing about the good and the not so good people, because VIPs coming in are beneficial to me because I can, it might be that I'm trying to generate more business. It could be a potential customer. people who have, shall we say, stolen from my business, or staff that I've had to let go because they didn't do good things, shall we say. If they come back into the building, then that could also be some form of threat to me. So it's there to highlight live to, let's say, my security staff or facilities manager, whomever it is, that somebody of interest is on the premises, or multiple people of interest. So it gives me this level of awareness, situational awareness. We keep going back to situational awareness. Is it of benefit for me to know if certain people are coming onto the premises? If so, why? Then how do I need to know that information? It could be retrospective through reporting. It could be live through events. But the fact is, it can provide me very useful information. It can help free my resources up. It can also be technology that utilizes my existing infrastructure. So if I have existing cameras, I'm not saying you need specialized cameras for this. I'm saying you can utilize the existing ones. We just add the AI, let's call it, onto the recording or separate hardware and integrate it into the surveillance system. But the key point here is accuracy. This is the key point. And this is what we, with our own AI, have worked on for now many, many months and years to perform this incredibly high accuracy, because what you don't want is the fact that you keep getting false alarms. What you do want is to have the right information at the right time to the right person, because false alarms, a high level of those, basically is going to mean wasting people's time. So it's not just about being able to do something, it's being able to do it accurately as well. Otherwise, situational awareness gets spread too thinly. It has to be concentrated, let's say. But we'll actually come back to this in a few slides. Now, a lot of time I've been talking about the CCTV, the surveillance side of it, but it's not just about CCTV. It's about how can we use this technology in other product genres. Let's use access control here. And I'm asking lots of questions. How can it be used for me? How does it benefit me? What do I have to consider? Which is very important there. Probably the third question is the most important one. So questions, questions, questions. Because AI is not just about one type of product. It's about multiple types of products. So let's have a look when I compare it, from video surveillance to my requirements in access control. So access control is always what we call about a cooperative situation, because firstly, the staff members, have to be enrolled on the system. So enrollment integration is incredibly important. The last bullet point there, because if I'm having to enroll people onto different databases and things, it all takes too long and is convoluted and is hard to administer. So the ideal solution is, the enrollment, the database, everything else is all contained within the access control system. So in our case, we're talking about software house or CEM. And it's there about providing feedback as well. What do I mean by that? Because if you think where those of you who use access control currently, when you present a card, the read to the reader, it beeps or it changes color. You have both audible and visual confirmation that you can't go in or you can. And therefore, this frictionless style of access control using face recognition has to do the same. It has to give you that feedback that you can or you can't. Otherwise, people are left wondering what on earth is happening. And also, it needs to be quick, because if you have lots of people walking through specific areas, you have to be able to identify the multiple people. We just talked about that in the face recognition slide, which we do. It's not just about single file. This can be multiple people, but also this security side of things, because security is what we're using access for. That's important. And therefore, I have to be able to stop people fooling the system by holding a picture of somebody in front of the camera. Very important, because then we don't have an access control system. So these are all the things I actually have to look at: how it's enrolled, the speed, the accuracy, all of these things, how the user gets feedback, so as to provide, the right solution. And here is, our solution here. So we're talking Illustrate Insight. You saw it on the video. Where would we use it? Well, where I need speed, where I need accuracy, where I want the flow of people to be maintained. So it could be an airport, could be a stadium, and hold that thought for a moment, clean rooms, things like this, where I want frictionless, where I need to count people, because I'm able to do that with this sort of technology, but where of paramount importance, I need this steady flow of people. I don't want to make people, for instance, slow down. So it speeds up the access to a building or an area. It's faster than biometrics, fingerprint, palm print, that type of thing. Because in reality, I just walk. The technology reads my face, recognizes my face, and then, like any access system, it lets me in or it doesn't, or it counts me in or it doesn't, or it creates an alarm if I'm approaching an area and going into an area that I shouldn't be going in. But also, let's again think outside the box. It's not just about walking into an area, recognizing me and letting me through or counting me in. I can also use this technology for a higher level of authentication. So it might be that, in reality, it is better for me to have people carrying cards, access control cards, but to certain areas, I want to have a much higher level of authentication. It could be to a strong room, a data room, things of this nature, a laboratory even, where I want people to prove it's them, not that somebody's stolen the card or borrowed a card. And a lot of times people use card and PIN, but even that is not, the highest level of security, because, I might give my card and my PIN to a colleague. So face is a great way to do the authentication, because I can't steal a card and a face. I can't do that. I can't ask a colleague to borrow their card and their face. So where I still use cards, yeah, great. I present my card, and also it is looking for the dual factor authentication of the face as well. So much higher level of discretion into areas to really make sure that's the right person. But also you've got to think about things like the anti-tailgating, as we all know what tailgating is, that we have things to work for that, and that I can create alarms and events if somebody's of interest that has moved into my area, that has gone to a room they've tried to get into or shouldn't have got into at all. So a lot of solutions about managing the access, but also how to then deal with that information once the person has tried to get into the room or not. Now, we've been talking about faces, but it's not just about faces, it's also about recognizing a person. I don't mean that you recognize me as Stuart, but you recognize me as a person. So here's a good example. You can see the lady there in the red coat with her back to me. And it might be that that person is a person of interest who's been into a shopping center or an airport, in the case of the images, and walked in with a bag, but walked out without a bag. So this person might be known to me. And what I need to know now is, where did this person leave the bag? Now, if I was to get my staff to basically review all the video all across my airport, that could be very, very detailed. That'd take a long time. So what I can use is person re-identification technology to say, okay, automated intelligence, here's the image I want you to search for. Search across these cameras and find me people who look like this image. And that's what the automated intelligence will do. It will look for people who, blonde hair in this case, red coat, blue trousers, sort of this size, this shape, all of these things, and then present me that information. So this goes back to the point about data. We create volumes of data, unimaginable amounts of data, and we can use the intelligence to filter that data and present the information, just the information I need, to then do my job as, let's say, the security manager in this case. Because this can, let's say, over a 1 or 2 hour period, whatever it is, when this person was in the airport, this can present me all the images. I can then look at those images and say, okay, there was a bag, there was the bag there, no bag. Let's look at this clip. And then using deduction, I can work out where the bag was left. So it speeds up things. It better use of my security staff, because if they were to look through hours and hours of video, it would just take too long. Very simple as that. We've also mentioned things like health and safety, people in an area, people counting. I mentioned it earlier on that we're able to, over open areas, use the cameras and the technology in our VMSs to, count people in and out of an area. So again, this technology can be used, shall we say, when we normalize the world again, to ultimately start to look at crowd building. Are there too many people in a single area? And how do I use that information? Well, that could be that I need to open up more entrances. Maybe more people need to get out of the building than there is a capability at the moment to say, okay, my health and safety says I'm allowed no more than 100 people in this area. So the dashboard here will tell me when I've got into over occupancy. I create events. There are many reasons that I need to know how busy an area is, how many people are in there. And it's things like threat levels. Too many people could be a threat one way or another. That could be a protest. It could be health and safety, that literally there are too many people in that area. It could be I need to know as a store how busy my shop floor is, or specific areas of my shop floor. But again, this is utilizing existing infrastructure, just adding the intelligence. So ultimately, I can get this sort of management information and then create from that better situational awareness to ultimately manage my building and my premises more closely. Which leads us to this. We've been talking about people detection, but let's take the next step from that, object classification. So, we're capable as an organization with our AI, let's call it, our automated or intelligence, to say if it's a person, to detect an object and say, is it a person, is it a bus, car, things of this nature, and use that information as a filter to say, okay, I only want to alarm, let's say along my perimeter, if there is a person there. If a car goes by, or a bicycle, a bus, even a dog, I'm not interested. I just need to know people, because that then potentially is a threat. I can use it in conjunction with other analytics as well. So I can say, okay, I'm looking at a car park as an example. Now, if somebody is standing next to a particular area for too long, then alarm. But if a car is driving in that area, it's fine, I'm not interested. Or if a car is driving in the area, alarm. If it's a person, no, I don't really mind at all, that's fine. So using these things like person and object classification allows me to ultimately filter the information and then utilize that for alarms, video to review, but again, just present me the right amount of video that I need to conduct my investigation. If it's live, also to help track things, because if I can say, just track a person, but ignore cars, then my PTZ camera can do that. So it opens up the possibilities, instead of, as we used to have, object detection, which means that any object will create an event. That's not good enough anymore. I need to start knowing, is it a person, is it a vehicle, these types of things, because that means that I'm getting better situational awareness. Data, data, and data, we generate a lot of it. And we can use it not only from a surveillance perspective or a security perspective, as generally we've been talking about, but equally, we can use it for management perspective. So example, you think about an access control system. We generate huge amounts of data. Who's gone into an area, who's gone out, has the door open, has the door closed, is the door held open? All of these things, and we never utilize that data. It's there, but we never take value from it until now, because we can use this data. I'm going to use basically door forced open as an example. So I can start to analyze my data, but get the system to do it, get the machine learning to do it, and to go, okay, let's start to predict. I get door forced alarm, so a door is being pushed open without any valid card read. I can see when that is, what times of day, what dates. I can also start to look when my doors are utilized correctly, so healthy events, and I can get the analytics, the machine learning, to basically pre-filter my alarms. So instead of presenting all of my events to the operators and them having to investigate every single one, which could be it could be hundreds of thousands, it can be used to say, okay, let's look at patterns, let's use intelligence, let's reduce the false alarms by adding layers of priority to my door forced open alarms, because the machine learning can say, actually, this event that's just come through probably is not an event, based on its knowledge of what has been going on in the past. It can give it a lower priority. So I can use things like this to basically manage my building more closely. I can produce the intelligence and the reports that will predict when my automatic door openers need to be looked at, serviced, because we can work out how much they're being used. As another example, I can use face technology to, if somebody of interest comes into my building, to actually send or create even a threat level and send the access control system into a different state, into a higher level of security where perhaps the visitor cards stop working, things of this nature. It's about this situational awareness is about action and reaction. Newton's third law of physics, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It's about deciding who needs to know what, and then how I can use a technology to give me that information to pre-filter my alarms so my guards can concentrate on the pure highest level of alarms, how my building reacts when certain people walks into it, things of this nature, creating these efficiencies, to enable my staff to do other things. Which leads us, sorry, I advanced one too many slides there. If you were to summarize this, that's how I look at this. I see AI, intelligence, call it what you will, machine learning, advanced intelligence, automated, to provide these functions. It's not just about security, but it's about the management information. It's about improving workflow. It's about, health and safety things, future-proofing, protecting my money, my budgets, my staff, my profits, my assets. But if you look at all of that, the common denominator is to get that situational awareness. That is the key point. Give me the situational awareness, and so I can have better information. So with better information, I can save myself money, or I can deploy staff better to do their job. I can not have health and safety convictions against me, things of this nature. I can have better informed staff. That's what all this is about, not just about are security related. It has many different applications, does the AI. And to show you that, and also to see how, and if you watch this next video, it's a short video, how AI can actually be then built in to an existing system, particularly pay attention to the latter part of the video. So I will leave you to the video in a moment, and then I'll just summarize our presentation.
The Aviva Stadium has a long and fruitful relationship with Tyco. They've been involved with the stadium since the beginning in 2010 and are still with us today. They provide us with our CCTV, our door access systems, our fire system and our emergency door alarm system.
Well, the system we have here is a Victor unit. We have over 220 cameras. We have nearly 4,000 fire points and 150 swipe access doors. Everything works all together and it is a very versatile system.
At the moment we have about 150 door access readers and we use these to control access to particularly secure rooms or lifts. We also have some Emerald readers installed. We're using these for door access and for branding purposes, but we're investigating further uses for these readers in the future. We've recently undertaken a trial project with American Dynamics for their inside cameras, which is a facial recognition camera using up-to-date technology, and we're very excited about the future uses of this type of camera in the stadium.
The whole experience working with Tyco has been absolutely phenomenal. The level of support we always get, and it's very easy to use and very easy company to work with.
When we built the stadium, we were starting with a blank sheet of paper. The old stadium had no technology and we were building something that was world class. And we needed to have the best partners when we were building that stadium because this stadium is going to be here for a long time. And Tyco were one of the world class people that we dealt with. We're very happy that we made the right decision.
Okay, you saw there a good example in the Aviva Stadium, which you can see in the Republic of Ireland, where they have been building their systems together. So in other words, they're utilizing a combination, a unified video and access platform, bringing into their fire intrusion, things of this nature. But you also notice that they were now testing and trialing the access control face recognition. And what I want to highlight there is that it's about also adding this technology to existing systems. But regardless of if it is a new system or an existing which I'm adding the technology to, I view AI, automated, advanced, whatever you wish to call it, as this. It is a responsibility. And this is where I really wish to make you think, because it's about what do you require? What is your operational requirements? And that it's realistic, because AI is not an answer to every single solution. It's part of the answer. Now, we've seen a lot of solutions here today, a lot of capabilities, both for the now and for the normalization times around the corner. But if you take anything away, that I would say test, because with this type of technology, it's, to me, always proof of concept. And that regardless of what the requirements are, reach out to us, test these environments for yourselves to see if it actually does provide the solution you need, and in the environment that you're looking for to deploy it in. But 1 minute over, not bad for me. So it really remains, to be honest, thank you for your time and this investment of the 1 hour today. You're more than welcome to reach out to us to answer more detailed questions and things of this nature. And to hopefully I've achieved what I was looking to do today, which is, to advise you what is capable now in the future with the current technologies that we have on offer, but to make you think and think, how can technology that we're utilizing in these troubled times be utilized outside of the troubled times, but still to benefit the businesses, the organizations, the buildings, and so on, so as to provide an exceptional level of situational awareness, which ultimately then can, assist you with, how your jobs are done, how other people's jobs are done, how we protect people, and all these other things that I mentioned earlier on. So thank you very much indeed. It is genuinely appreciated, and I wish you a good rest of day. Thank you.